What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for the 26th episode of the Fresh in the Feed podcast. My name's Matt, his name's Justin, and we're in for a good interview today, and we're refreshing your feed so you don't have to. Hey, Justin, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time, actually. Just over a year since I had you on my previous podcast. For those who don't know, it's called Your Sister's Favorite Podcast. It's come a long way since last time you've been here. Considering this was a work in progress, a lot has been done.
A lot has been done renovation-wise.
Considerable amount, I'd say.
Looks very nice, though.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you. Well, to be fair, you're like if you don't count Andrew, you don't count Julian, you're probably like the third person to ever record in here.
Yeah? No, Tommy.
Oh, Tommy. Yes.
Tommy.
Okay, fourth.
Tommy.
Yeah. But like actual, Tommy's was the only interview one. So yeah, that's good. So you're right now you're in school we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
You're in school for robotics.
Yes.
Right now. For those who don't know. Very interesting field. I want to know, it's a very interesting and complex obviously field to get into, but at the same time, I want to know why robotics, like primarily robotics or computer science. I want to know exactly what in general you've got into.
So my field is general robotics. I got a computer science degree as well as a electronics engineering degree, something like that.
Okay.
And put those together, and I'll come out with a robotics at the end of it.
Okay.
And it's pretty much they teach me the fundamentals of coding, building small circuits or even big circuits, and programming those.
Were you like were you like the top of the class in like computer science in high school?
I probably would have been if I cared.
Yeah, that class I feel like was just kind of a joke.
No, if it was fun. That's where I fell in love with it, to be fair. But it was the kind of class where if you put in the effort, you'll get a
great mark.
You'll get a great mark.
Yeah,
it's not a hard course to fail, but you could do a lot. Like there's a lot of free reign in that class. A lot of projects are like do your own thing kinda. It's more of just like a guideline, but general topic, you do your own thing. And I loved that. I loved being able to create my own program or whatever.
I don't know, I just feel like those classes, like especially in high school, you you get all this free will to create. Like architecture was another one, woodshop's another one, and everybody kind of like just takes them for granted.
Yeah.
But like those classes kind of like drift you away from that high school that you're just
absolutely, like everyone thinks it's this out of box like hard class you're going to take, and you're going to be struggling to learn how to do this stuff, but it's very introductory. It's very enjoyable if you see yourself being a even like a content creator, like anything in terms of PC development or anything like that, like you'll enjoy classes like that. It's very fun.
And I think people, especially now more than ever, I think people don't realize the importance of having like PC and computer knowledge. Like even for someone like myself, obviously I enjoy like working with digital media and a lot of software and things like that. But a lot of people, especially they start up their own brand and they start up their own thing. A lot of people, you have to like know how to market, and a lot of times the marketing involves a lot of software and stuff like that, which I don't think people give enough credit. That's why when you think of like computers and like computer engineering and computer science, you don't really realize like the complexity of what it takes to actually like code and like go through the motions, right? Like I know you've been doing it for a while and you're a big PC guy. I recently just switched over to Mac. Just because
discussion.
Just because for a couple reasons, my processing power of my PC and all that, just under my circumstance.
You gotta do what works. You gotta do what works for you.
Exactly, yeah.
There's always gonna be ups and downs for whatever platform you go to.
Yeah, how long have you been a PC guy?
Me being a PC guy was more recent, actually. Not recent in terms of like last year, but the last 4 years. Other than that, we always had like a Mac in our house, or like an iPad, or my first laptop was a MacBook. Still use that MacBook. But I've always wanted to do different things, and this is where the appeal for like gaming and stuff came to me, because I can't really game on Macs. Like they're not for that.
Yeah.
But that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to like program or do all this kind of stuff. Not to say you can't do it on a Mac, but I just found that doing
much easier, obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot of like third-party softwares that only work on Windows.
Yeah.
I ended up, before I even built my first PC, I downloaded Windows on my Mac, like just so I could use certain softwares.
Like Boot Camp, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I did the same thing originally. So obviously, like, you want to get into that. Do you know, like, specifically, like, if you had a dream sort of job, like involving robotics and computer science and coding, what like sort of thing would you want to do? Would it be like your own path sort of and be like an inventing?
I could see myself doing more of still working for a company. I don't think I have the drive to do my own company at any point. No, I don't know yet. But I would much rather do like commissions almost, or like jobs in that way, where someone's like, I need an assembly line built, for example, and I need to program, or I need to build a robot and then program that robot. Or you usually get for something that large scale, but something in terms of like contract work.
Okay.
But even for a company, I would do that.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Well, I know, like, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of like robots and assembly lines and things like that, I think of the automotive industry.
Okay.
Obviously, and I know you've been working for a while, with cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a path for yourself? Because I kind of think like you would excel there almost, just knowing you from the past. I think that's a path for you.
Maybe I could definitely do that, but who knows? Most cars are not most cars, but a lot of cars are going electronic now.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are switching over. So there's probably going to be a couple jobs in that field at some point, but yeah, I would love the opportunity to try and do something like that.
Do you think that's do you think that's like the future of the automotive industry? Like, not just simply electronic cars, but right now, like, you obviously like Tesla is kind of taking over that EV. So do you think that that's the path that we're going on?
I think it is, only because you see companies like major companies like Ford stopping the production of gasoline-powered cars. They're going to start doing
just EV only.
Yeah, in the next 4 to 5 years, they're going to do only electronic cars. So if big companies like that are going to start pushing for it, then I think a lot of people will follow suit.
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of consumers, especially people our age, me especially, I can speak for a couple of people I know also. You see electronic cars, like it's just like this appealing sort of vibe to it.
It's new, it's exciting, it's the new thing. Everyone wants to experience that. It was like when they added like Apple CarPlay, for example, into cars for the first time. Everyone wanted to jump onto that. Like, it's always the new technology that everyone wants to jump onto, and they're very nice designed, interior wise, exterior wise. Like, they're nice cars.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people just cling to that.
Yeah, I feel like the software is a big part, rather than like the actual like external.
That stuff's body. Crazy. That stuff's absolutely crazy. What they're doing with AI technology and self-driving cars,
and like lane assist and all
Unreal.
that stuff, and it's kind of wild. You see, I don't know if you've ever seen like not like the big iPad in the Tesla, like the dashboard or whatever, the hub. And it kind of like just outlines the entire road for you. Yeah. Like a 3D version of it, right? Like a rendered version.
I honestly suspect in the next, I don't know how many years, but I think in our lifetime, 95% of the cars will all be self-driving.
Wow.
In our lifetime. Not saying next 10 years, next 20 years. Like, I don't know when. I think all cars will be self-driving.
I'd probably say maybe the next 40 years. Yeah,
they'll know where each other's cars are on the road, and it'll literally be get in your car, say I want to go here, and it takes you there.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing. The hardest part of it, I feel like once it gets going, it's gone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I feel like the transition between manual driving car or like person, right? Like
but no,
automatic and stuff, rather than all self-assist.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like 90%, 95% of cars will do that, only because there'll always be those people that prefer to drive themselves or do all these kind of things. But who knows? Who knows what laws will hold in 50 years? Yeah. Laws will hold in 40 years. Maybe there'll be like a mandatory, like, this is the new standard. You're being driven by a robot.
That's crazy. That's crazy to even think about. like a government regulated one.
Yeah.
Right. Like it has to pass.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that happening.
Yeah. It's almost the same as right now, right? If you compare it to like government regulations for cars right now, like seatbelts and airbags and
there's always
braking checks
there's always new things being added on to that list.
Yeah.
Like if you think about cars from 50 years ago, no airbags, no seatbelts.
Yeah, exactly.
Bench seats in the front.
Yeah. Like even like
everything.
Like let's say it's definitely not a requirement right now to have in your car, but let's say like blind spot assist.
Yeah.
Like that's basically the same. That's like the same thing.
Blind spot assist is becoming like a standard package in cars.
Yeah.
Now. So like all those kind of technologies are just going to keep getting on and on and on and on, and eventually, I think they're going to be all self-driving.
Yeah, I think like that it can have an impact, but I feel like it would be drowned out by insurance companies. I feel like insurance companies, when they see blind spot assist and they see like reverse cameras and stuff like that, I feel like once they become more a part of your car, that they don't really contribute. Because right now, if I buy a car with rear camera assist, like auto braking, a lane assist, a blind spot, like all those things, I think like the insurance companies take into account like all those factors of your car, right? When they quote you.
Yeah.
So I feel like eventually down the line, those assets that are now like considered like these in your, like a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Right, like a mandatory seatbelt, or like the airbags, whatever. Right, like now insurance companies don't really quote you based on if you have airbags, because you have to have airbags, right? So I think eventually down the line it could be beneficial and some negative things to take away from it. But
I'm curious to see what would happen if all cars are self-driving. Like realistically, where's the insurance in that? The only insurance you would need at that point is if something went wrong in that technology.
Yeah, like what's the margin for error, right? Like what percentage of collisions end in like fatal accidents? That's what I want to know.
I think at a certain point in terms of technology, the only thing that'll determine that is going to be like natural causes like major wind, or even like third-party distractions, like something flying onto the road or anything like that. Like those kind of things at some point will be the only problems in terms of like getting into collisions on the road. Yeah, because
I feel like there's no possible way other than like a malfunction or a glitch or something like that. Like that, I feel like that's where you find, okay, this is like an error that like it can cause like major issue. But if those are patched, right, like then it becomes seamless. Yeah. And then you, like you're saying, like a tree falls or something like that, and the natural causes and shit like that. But yeah, moving on to I wanted to get into something that one of our close friends that we work with is actually experiencing right now. Also, so because of COVID, as you know, there's been a shortage in a lot of PC parts. Yeah. You're a PC guy. I was a PC guy. I'm technically still a computer guy, but and I wanted to know. I have a couple of things that I know why there was a shortage. Yeah. So this caused a lot of issues. When I first heard that, like, primarily graphics cards. Yes. That's like the big one. Yeah. For those who don't know, I can't really give a good explanation. What does like a graphics card like do in the computer? I know you can give a good one.
Okay, so the graphics card offloads some load from the CPU. So the CPU is your general processing unit, powers the computer, tells it what to do. So it's a separate part in your computer that just handles graphics computing. It'll do a lot more rapid changes in. Let's say your screen needs to change like a visual really quick. Yeah. Anything that in terms of changes in your graphics, that'll compute it. Yeah. But what it's also very good for is number decoding, and that's why it's very popular with crypto mining right now.
Okay. Like as you know, there was a shortage. So the big tech giants are the ones that create the chips for these parts. Yes. Like Samsung and others. So the biggest thing was that, like, because there was this giant shortage, obviously the price goes up. Yes. We know a couple of people that were looking for a graphics card, actually. Yeah. So number one, you can't. The rarity of them is extremely rare.
Yeah, I know people that are like building bots for like Canada Computers or any other like Amazon that'll just snipe one as soon as it goes on sale.
Like instantly buy.
Like people are buying and reselling these like crazy. Like this is way hotter than your PS4 or PS5 rather, and your Xbox Series X. Like this is way hotter than like the resale value is crazy. Like I've seen people like double their money just.
Yeah, like especially that's a big thing. Like the resale. If you do get your hands on one, you're making like you just said, like double, sometimes triple the profit.
Yeah, so whatever it is, like let's say card's $500, you're easily getting $800 to $900.
Yeah, so like the biggest thing apparently that was the reason for the shortage, obviously is the because of the production, they didn't have enough resources, obviously, but the high demand now that people were home for a year, 2 years, whatever it was, a year and 6 months, whatever it was. Was that obviously you have to work from home now. A lot of people were working from home, and they have to either build a computer or buy a computer.
Yeah.
So the demand for just parts in general, just went up, obviously.
Yeah, because everyone needed them.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
you got to work from home. You got to
do what you got to do.
Yeah, like, and but what does surprise me is that individual parts, rather than pre-assembled. Like monitor desktops or laptops aren't selling as much as the parts are. I think people have sort of come to realize that if you buy a pre-assembled desktop, you're sort of not getting your bang for your buck, whether if you just make it.
Okay, so in the last year and a half of lockdown, 2 years, whatever it was, however long it was, people have obviously had more time to do their own thing. Like even though you're still working, you're realistically at home most of the time. So people do their research, people do explore more, they do new hobbies, they do all kinds of stuff. And what I think it was is people have done their research, came to the conclusion similar to what I came to a couple of years back when I was building my first computer. They're like, this isn't that difficult, maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah.
So once they part out their own PC, they could realize that I could swap this out for this and this. They could swap out things that better suit their needs, and that's why they feel like it's a better bang for the buck to go with their
but I also feel like computer. I also feel like you like obviously you can like you're just saying, like you build gaming oriented PCs, you build work oriented PCs, things like that, right? But I feel like people, now that you've seen a lot of like exposure to gaming PCs, because the gaming, like a PC wasn't really like a home built, a self built PC wasn't really like the trend or the style, right? It was always like you just buy a Dell One, whatever, a Dell Tower, whatever it is, and you just plug it in, right? But now you see like these crazy setups with RGBs everywhere and LEDs, and people want that sort of aesthetic.
That's the same thing with cars. People want to have something that they're proud of, that looks nice, like they could show it off. Even though it's like in their house, but it's something that you like. People come over and be like, "Oh, look at my computer," and it like blinds them from how bright it is.
Like RGBs everywhere and LED. Like I feel like that whole
that appeals so much more to people than a pre-built computer.
Yeah, exactly. That just has, and I feel like that the market for pre-built computers is kind of like deteriorating at that point. But those the thing is, like, those companies still sell parts.
So there'll always be a need for pre-built, obviously, because not everyone has like the know-how to go out and build their own computer. But what I do know is that a lot of companies that do sell pre-built also have, in the last couple of years, have developed their own like custom building service. You could go on their website instead of buying a pre-built. It is a pre-built, but you could customize it. And somebody at, like, let's say Dell will build that computer for you, and they'll ship it out, and it'll be
that's dope. I didn't even know that. I didn't know you could like go.
No, there's a lot of companies that are doing it right now. I know Dell's one of them for sure.
Yeah, well, HP's I figured
doing it as well.
Yeah, but I feel like it's only. I still feel like that's kind of limited, just because it's only their parts, obviously, right?
Yeah. Whatever parts they have available to them, whatever suppliers they have available to Dell, and all that kind of stuff.
So if you think about it, if you think about the pricing wise, what would you say that average technician sort of would charge to assemble a PC?
It depends. If it's just like a cut and dry simple PC, they'll probably charge like $100-$150.
Yeah, I was gonna probably say like
if it's something where it's multiple graphics cards and $1,000 water processor, water cooling, anything that's like really labor intensive, then you could charge like
probably up to like $500 or something.
Whatever
like
it is, whatever you think that the labor's worth. And plus you're taking the liability of actually handling $1,000 components.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like there's still like a big trade-off. Let's say an average of $200 to $300 per build, like per technician, obviously. I feel like even if you spend $1,500 on parts and then another $300 on like a technician to assemble it for you, I feel like there's still a bargain compared to a pre-build.
Yeah.
In a
sense, you are right.
Yeah, the only thing that, like, to me doesn't make a lot of sense is how fast and quickly they're outdated. The parts become outdated.
Yeah. Not as of recently. I know in the last like 5 years roughly of hardware, it usually sticks around. Like,
yeah,
if you built a like a decent PC 5 years ago, right now it'll still be like, it'll keep up. Like, it won't crush it, but it'll keep up.
Yeah, when I built mine, it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, but the thing with pre-builts is you're limited for the most part to those pre-builts.
Yeah.
So if I go out and I buy a Dell, for example, 5 years down the road, if I want a better graphics card, if I want a better CPU, if I want a better whatever.
So those pre-builds, you don't have access to also making adjustments, like
for the
later
most part,
on,
no.
upgrades.
For the most part, no. Those motherboards are typically proprietary.
Yeah, they're like Macs.
Yeah.
Same thing, same concept.
In a sense.
Yeah, which is kind of, if you think about it, it's kind of like sleazy. And I feel like you can also, like, if you're Apple or you're Dell that you have the pre-builds, I feel like there is a possibility to still make money there. Like, obviously it's higher when not offering it, but I feel like your consumer would respect you so much more.
There is a market for that, but in terms of, let's say I'm Dell and I want to make my computers last 5 years.
Yeah.
In 5 years, you're going to go out and buy a new computer.
Yeah.
But if I make my 5-year-old computer able to be upgraded 5 years down the road, I'm not going to be able to charge you $1,000, $1,500, whatever it is, for a new computer. So that's why, and same thing with Macs, like, they've limited their expandability or upgradability over the years only because they want you to buy
the new one,
the next year model.
Yeah. It's kind of shit as a consumer.
It is. That's why building your own is that much more of an appeal. And like you said, a bang for your buck. Like, I'd rather spend $500 extra just to build my own. Yeah,
exactly. So obviously you mentioned one that I wanted to touch upon. Well, and obviously we know NVIDIA and Gigabyte are like the biggest ones. Biggest graphics card carriers.
NVIDIA and AMD.
Or AMD, sorry. Yeah. So obviously they're the big, like, giants of the graphics card industry, and people are going crazy for them. You check Facebook Marketplace, things like that. Another big demand that I looked up, like you said before, was obviously crypto mining.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin obviously is something everybody pretty much knows about.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, but there's been obviously with the shortage, just like a boom in like graphics card, what's it called, like desire for graphics cards and desire for PC parts. I was reading a bit about it. I understand sort of the concept of how mining works, not really too in depth of how, like, the blockchain and things like that, and different types of coding and mathematics that are involved and stuff like that. But for the most part, it seems extremely difficult.
A lot of people think that. You definitely need to know, like, somewhat what you're doing.
Yeah.
But again, like, in the last, like, year and a half, like, it's been so readily available online to figure out how to make your own rig, how to start mining, how to, like, where to get started, how to build your own rig, like, all that kind of stuff. So and again, like what I said earlier, it comes down to people have had more time and more money available to them, and that's why people are going out and investing all this money, and once they make more money, they'll keep investing that and buying out more and more and more.
Yeah. So the thing for me was that, like, most people think it's difficult, and also, like, people, like, I consider myself one of, like, the dummies of the computer world. Obviously, I don't have a lot of knowledge, but it's a scary thing. Like, let's say I wanted to pick it up, it's a scary thing to sort of get the knowledge and start going. That's why a lot of people invest in companies that do the mining, which has been very popular recently. I'm also invested in one of them. And people have their own opinions. It's very like crypto's like bullshit and stuff like that, and it's not going to go anywhere and things like that. But I think for the most part, it is what it is right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing really we can do about. It's not going to really change dramatically over the next couple of years or whatever. It's going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
So why not ride the wave?
Yeah.
Especially because it's been on such a rise. You hear Bitcoin's at like 40 plus, 50 plus $1,000 Canadian per one Bitcoin, right? So obviously that's where sort of that demand comes from a lot.
Yeah,
but
people are hyped up about it.
But at the same time, do you think that there is a potential future where cryptocurrency, at one point it did have an impact with obviously you could have bought Teslas with Bitcoin or whatever it was at the time, and then it got revoked because of those like Elon thought it was like environmentally unfriendly to mine Bitcoin and things like that. There was all that controversy a while ago. But do you think that there will be a time where we can buy things with crypto?
Here's the thing. Crypto is not government regulated.
Yeah.
It's sort of this outside of the banks and outside of the government way of making money. So unless the government or a particular industry decides like this is going to be a usable, tangible currency, I don't think it's going to be sticking around very long. Personally, only because these coins are only valued based on what people think they're valued at. So if there's a lot of hype around it, it'll go up in value.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's nothing. It's not a tangible object. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's ones and zeros in your computer, in a wallet, on your laptop. So it's not a tangible thing. So as long as people give it value, it'll have value. But if government restrictions don't allow it, then you'll start to see it die.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Like you're saying, it's a decentralized form of currency, I think is what it's the term that describes it. So obviously that the big powers involved don't want that to happen. That seems
because they have zero control over that.
Yeah, right. So I personally think that it can go somewhere, and it is kind of somewhat the future. But I think it still has to be government regulated. I don't think there's a way where we can like overthrow the government. Like this isn't like Star Wars.
Yeah.
You just like the rebellion, right? I do think that in a way we won't have any more tangible currency.
I can see that. If anything.
Yeah,
No more tangible currency.
Yeah, I feel like we're already more than halfway there. First of all, just with the use of debit cards, credit cards, things like that, and it's just like a higher level of security. The people that, even from your experience, the people that you know, who are the ones that use tangible, like actual cash?
I honestly
for me, it's my parents.
Yeah, I have very few people that I know that use, like, none of my parents use it anymore. I honestly think the people that I know who don't use or who use tangible currency are people that don't want to pay taxes on it. That's the only people I can think of.
Yeah, like even like, okay, obviously like illegal things.
Not necessarily illegal things, but like let's say I mow your lawn. You're not going to transfer me $20. You're going to give me $20 cash.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Like that's the only people I can think of.
Like side hustle and people that do like businesses on like shit like that.
But yeah, I know what you mean, like illegal activity as well.
Yeah, like that. I feel like
those are the only people that I know. My grandparents.
Yeah, literally like my grandparents and my parents. I think once those generations sort of die out, and I think our generation is sort of in between.
Yeah.
I think the next one, like our kids and potentially even their kids, I think that those two generations are like they're like the biggest possibility for zero tangible currency, just only because with debit, credit, and whatever, I feel like cell phones, especially with Apple Pay and things like that, are just going to get so much more advanced where you're not even going to have to tap your phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if you know about this. They have an Amazon store, and
I saw that. Yeah.
They track your phone when you're in the store. You put a bunch of things into the shopping cart and you just walk out.
And the shopping cart goes based off the item. Yeah.
And you just walk out.
That's awesome.
You don't interact with another person. You don't pull out your phone to tap it. You don't do anything. You walk in the store, fill up your card, and walk out.
Yeah.
And they charge you accordingly.
It's so dope. Like, I just think that idea.
Oh, that's gonna.
I'm like, cause I obviously love, like, me and you, we love like tech and advancing and things like that. It's just, it's kind of scary. Yeah, only because
it's done right, it's gonna be like great. But I could see where
it's just got to be done like proper, and I think it's I think there is like a large market for it, and I think it can be like great, like you just said. But at the same time, there is still that what if like my shit gets hacked and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had any experience with like hackers, but like I personally, I've only had sort of like malware.
Yeah, just
shit like that,
stupid shit like that.
But there is people that like I know that have been like super hacked and like all their information and all that bullshit.
I know like stupid stuff like PS4 accounts or like Xbox Live accounts or MSN accounts, like all that kind of stuff. But nothing that I've dealt with major in terms of hacking. But
yeah, just one last thing before we get wrapping up, I wanted to ask you. So obviously you're a PC gamer right now.
Yes.
I've unfortunately moved in sort of like the dummy
I wouldn't
style.
Say that.
No, but it's sort of like mainstream.
Yeah.
Okay. Mainstream form of gaming, mainstream form of computing and things like that. I've gone to Mac.
You got to do what works for you.
Yeah, just like leisure gaming, really not focused. Mm-hmm. So I've purchased the PS5 recently. I want to know what you think of. Last time we talked, the PS5 hadn't been released yet.
Yeah.
The Xbox Live, the newest Xbox hadn't been released yet. Xbox X.
Series
X, right? So I want to know what you think now that they're out, now that you've done, I know you know about them a bit. What do you think is the standing sort of in between?
So at this point in 2021, most, if not all, new release games that are multiplayer are all cross-platform.
Yeah.
So currently, as it stands, for whatever your need is, it doesn't matter if you get a PS4 or PS5, an Xbox Series X, a PC, whatever it is, you'll be able to play with each other.
Yeah.
It depends on... The only thing it comes down to is what you want to do outside of that PS5. Like, if you want a PC and you want to, like, go on web browser, for example, or edit, whatever it is, that's the only reason I could see people getting PCs for gaming, at least right now.
Yeah.
Because realistically, like, you're going to be playing with anyone... I could play with people on Xbox and PS5 right now.
Yeah, I just think that, like, right now, the only two major differences, because terms of, like, frame rate and resolution
it's all
and stuff, it's all pretty much the same. They're all par right now. They're all at the same level. I think right now, the only thing that makes them different, console and PC gaming, is obviously you have an entire PC.
Yeah.
Like, that surfs the internet, does documents and all that shit. But then a console is sort of like a gaming. It's just for gaming, and now it's sort of just a smart TV.
Yeah, it really is.
Literally, it just turns your TV into obviously you game like PlayStation games and whatever with cross-platform like you would do on a PC, and now you just have a smart TV.
Yeah,
it's sort of like,
I think that's great though. Like I honestly think like that serves its purpose to a lot of people.
Yeah,
like, people don't want to have a dedicated PC setup, so they have their Xbox and they can watch Netflix, they can watch Disney Plus, they can
all of them,
YouTube, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think obviously the pandemic had a large influence on the use of a console, only because Disney Plus, like you were saying, DAZN, Netflix, things like that. Plex is another good one. Those ones have been in such more use rather than cable television. Like, I haven't watched cable in like forever almost, right? Like, it just seems, instead of like sports, it seems like forever.
This is a bit off topic, but I know as of right now, most cable companies are taking cable away.
Like, they're gonna stop.
They're all streaming boxes now. So I've gotten a new cable in my house. It's not cable. I have the one line coming into my house. It's Wi-Fi. Yeah. And all of the boxes on every floor of my house are all streaming boxes now.
Yeah, they don't have, like, I honestly don't think within the next 20 years, like, once our grandparents, like the houses, all those houses that had cable in them, I don't think you'll actually have a cable line in your house ever again.
So the cable line's the same as like tangible line, same as a Ethernet line or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, like, just
like I don't. As of 2021, Bell and Rogers are not selling cable boxes anymore. They're only selling streaming boxes.
Yeah, just streaming boxes. Well, that's what like my house is all. It's all streaming boxes. It's all like that. It gets it from Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so much better. I just find it so much better. But at the same time, like you see that making an advancement, right? Going from cable to just streaming boxes, but you also see people going just to just streaming services.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Right? Like it's already built into my TV. Like I literally have one button on my, like a Netflix button on my converter. Right? I don't need a whole box. I don't have to pay Bell $110 a month or whatever it is, right? So I think that's like the future. The only thing is obviously DAZN right now is like the leader in like live sports streaming.
Yeah.
But once it gets to a level where all sports can get on that live streaming service, like let's say DAZN were to have NBA and stuff like that, and NFL. Well, they have NFL, like MLB and whatever. I feel like once you get to that level, I feel like there's no need for cable boxes anymore. Only because like Netflix originals, they have ones that release every week and shit like that. So let's say like CTV had an app, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like Family Feud. I don't know on CTV or whatever, but like Family Feud and all those and all the like news and shit like that. I feel like once we get to that, there'll be no need for those companies anymore.
Think about this for a second. When you buy a house or you buy a condo, whatever you buy, are you putting a cable box in your house, or were you planning on buying? Not. Okay, you're gonna pay for internet service, and that's what you're gonna use. So that answers your question. Right, a
lot of people that I've noticed recently have gone to an Android box.
Yeah.
Like a box that just has like a million channels, and you just stream those. But those also come from feeds that go to cable boxes or streaming boxes like Bell and Rogers, right? So, I think after that, like once you get that like just seamless Wi-Fi connection down, it's just Wi-Fi going to your TV at that point. I feel like there's no need for cable and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just the future. It gets me a little excited, but it's also kind of scary. Just to know that you grew up watching cable, you grew up watching all that, and it's just gone.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but that's advancing, right? Our parents have seen it with other stuff, like black and white television. Like that's gone. Like you'll never see a black and white TV again, right? But yeah, I think that's it. I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
It's been fun
for today. Yeah, I enjoyed that. It was very beneficial. Sorry. Yeah, so that's it for episode 26. Justin, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I really enjoyed this. If you're watching this, check out the link in the description. All of our TikTok, Twitter, Instagram is there. If you're listening to this, check out the podcast in full video on YouTube. Again, that's it for us. Thanks again. Appreciate it. And we refreshed your feed so you didn't have to. Peace out.